Hello YouTube. This is sort of a follow-up video that I did on this bike back in April of 2015 when I bought it brand new. It had 0 miles on it then, even though it's an '07, and I had found it in Mason City, Iowa. It was amazing that it never got sold, but it arrived. I put the handlebars on, and you know, the small stuff you have to do when the bikes come in. Wasn't much. But again, I say this all the time, it's one of my favorite motorcycles. So why am I selling it? It's going to Wow Motorcycles in Atlanta, Georgia. It's been a really fun bike to own. I had a huge collection of bikes. Everything in my so-called collection back in the day had to be ridden. I didn't have any garage queens, but here it is. So after what, 7.5 years, how many miles did I put on this bike? Let's find out. It had 0 on it before, 1,522 miles. That's a crime, folks. And that's why I'm getting my collection down to 5 or 6 bikes. Simple everyday bikes that I can ride. And I'm passing this one on to somebody else who may luckily get to purchase it. And I make these videos, like I say on my other videos, kind of for me. They're unedited. I'm not great at doing this, I'll be the first to admit it. But it'll be kind of cool to look back on these down the road. I should keep it. I'm talking myself out of not selling it, but the delivery truck is coming today, or the pickup truck, shall I say. I don't know if you've ever heard of Wow Motorcycles in Atlanta. Its brand new facility is 70,000 square feet. It's been in business for 25 or 30 years, but their new facility, I was just there a few weeks ago on my trip. I live in South Florida, and I was going up to Tail of the Dragon to ride the mountains a little bit. I took my DRZ 400 Supermoto, which I love up there. And I took that guy there, the CRF 300L. But back to this one. Do you remember the ad that Honda made for this bike? And it was like, what, how did it go? It was something like, guys like, you know, Al Ludington, who was Miguel Duhamel's crew chief. It's what those mechanics or crew chiefs rode on the weekend or during the week when they're not at the racetrack taking care of, you know, Miguel's bike and all those guys. So this was that. And one year when I was at Laguna Seca, Al Ludington had his bike there and he had it all dolled up. You know, he had some different handlebars on it and exhaust, and you know, he breathed on it a little bit. He had those Honda connections, which is kind of neat. But it's a very simple motorcycle. The engine of it came from the 98 to, 99 CBR 900. I know the 97 was a 919 motor as well, so, but this one has fuel injection. You know, no carburetors here. So, if you live somewhere where it's cold, this bike says, hey, cold mornings hold my beer, because it's ready to, you start it up and right away. No problems at all. It's one of my favorite naked bikes that I've ever owned. And I've owned some hyper ones. I've had the Super Duke, which is just plain crazy. I've had the Aprilia Tuono, and I've had a couple more. I had the Ducati Street Fighter as well, the original. And but there was something about this bike, because I kept the exhaust quiet, stock, so I could ride it late at night a lot without waking up the neighbors and getting them angry. It's such a simple motorcycle to ride. It's almost like a sewing machine. It almost has no character like I talk about on my VFRs. You know, that engine is just, it's almost, do I say electric? You know, it's, you know, maybe you'd find in a Lexus car or an Acura. That's probably a better description. But either way, it's a hooligan. Do you remember what Cycle World said about it? Their quote was, "For a wheelie good time, dial 919. Of course, it was pretty potent. It did 11 O's at 122. Runs 150 miles an hour. But its fun thing is commuting and just riding it. Whether you live in the mountains, around town, it's a fun bike. I live in South Florida, where it's quite boring to own a motorcycle, but I've had a lot of fun with it. I did put the center stand on it. I got that from SW Motec, I believe. I don't know why, it was just available, and I thought it was a cool add-on. It doesn't drag, you could have some crazy lean angle. It is wearing the original tires, so they're from 2007. They're Battle Axe, I believe. Yeah, Bridgestones. A little bit of a chicken strut, but like I say, I live in South Florida. But these tires they're in good shape, even though they're age. There they are, there's your date code, 07. But it lives in an air-conditioned garage its whole life, so only time it goes out in the sun is when I ride it. But anyways, it's gonna be at Wow Motorsports, Wow Motorcycles in Atlanta. And I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. They just give me a very fair price when I want to sell bikes at a time. They gave me a very fair price, so they're going to give you a very fair price. And especially when you consider it's brand new and it's had loving care. You know, I talk about it a lot. You know, you own a Ducati, it's just to change the oil is not that easy. But look at this guy, just like on my Super Hawk. There's the drain plug right there. And there's the oil filter right there. So it makes maintenance fun. There's no excuse not to do these. I've only ran Honda GN4 oil on it. Always use the Honda filters, not synthetic in it. But they will have my phone number at Wow Motorsports. I'm friendly with everyone there. If you think you might be interested and you need to call the owner, me. There's no stories to tell you, just that it's a great bike. It starts perfectly every time, like a Honda would. I love my Hondas. And, thank you for taking a look. Maybe you will be updating the next video on this guy. This is C9. This is a VP fuel that I use that has very good shelf life and doesn't mess up your tank. Everything is spotlessly inside of the tank, everything on this. So, thank you for watching and see you on the next video.